When we speak of self-correction, many people imagine a stern voice inside, pointing out flaws with impatience or shame. But true awareness does not shout. It whispers. It does not accuse. It invites. Compassionate self-correction begins the moment we notice this soft call, a quiet recognition that something in our thoughts, words, or actions has drifted from the path of harmony. Awareness does not judge whether we are good or bad. It simply illuminates the present moment. When you become aware of a mistake you have made, do not rush to defend yourself, nor rush to feel guilty. Instead, pause as you would pause upon hearing a distant bell. Let the recognition settle gently. This is the first act of compassion, allowing yourself to see clearly without fear. The mind often believes that change requires force, but force only tightens resistance. When you allow awareness to arise naturally, you find that your inner world remains soft enough to learn. In that softness, correction becomes something organic, not something imposed. Just as a river shifts its direction lightly when it meets a stone, you can shift your behavior without harshness. In this way, awareness becomes a friend. It walks beside you, showing you where your steps falter and where they strengthen. It reminds you that every moment is a turning point. It shows you that self-correction is not punishment. It is a return to balance, to honesty, to the deeper intentions you hold within. When you recognize this gentle call, you begin the journey toward correcting yourself with compassion rather than criticism. When we make errors, we often focus only on the surface, the wrong word spoken, the action that caused harm, the impulse that carried us away. But these missteps rarely arise from the present moment alone. They are rooted in old fears, unmet desires, forgotten wounds, and assumptions we have never paused to examine. To correct yourself compassionately, you must first understand the soil from which your mistakes grow. Or a harsh correction sees only the fruit. A compassionate correction looks to the roots. When you become curious about your missteps, you begin to treat yourself as a living being shaped by countless moments, influences, and memories. Curiosity softens judgment. It allows you to ask, why did I react in this way? What pain was I trying to avoid? What longing was I trying to fulfill? These questions are not excuses. They are pathways into deeper truth. Often, you will discover that your errors stem from the simple human wish to feel safe, loved, or understood. When you see this clearly, the heart naturally softens. Instead of punishing yourself, you feel tenderness for the part of you that struggled. Correction then arises, not from frustration, but from wisdom. And when you understand your own roots, something beautiful happens. You become more understanding of others. Their missteps, too, come from places you cannot see. Their harsh words, their clumsy actions, their impatience, all of these are expressions of hidden suffering. In seeing your own roots clearly, your compassion expands outward. Thus, self-correction becomes part of a larger practice of understanding. You correct yourself not to erase your humanity, but to honor it, and in doing so, you create the conditions for patience, clarity, and genuine transformation. Many believe discipline must be hard to be effective, but discipline born from harshness creates fear, and fear cannot guide the heart toward lasting change. True discipline is tender, steady, and unwavering, not because it punishes, but because it cares. To correct yourself without harshness, begin by observing your own tone of mind. When you notice a mistake, does your inner voice tighten? Does it speak with disappointment or urgency? Instead of following that voice, take a slow breath and allow the mind to settle. The breath interrupts the momentum of self-judgment. In that pause, you regain the freedom to choose a gentler response. Speak to yourself as you would speak to someone you love. Not indulgently, but with respect. Say inwardly, I see what happened. I understand why it happened. And I will guide myself forward. This inner language is powerful. It reminds the mind that correction is not an attack. It is a form of care. Then without rushing, make a small adjustment. Maybe you choose a kinder word next time. Maybe you pause before reacting. Maybe you apologize sincerely. Each small correction becomes a stone placed on the path of growth. Over time, these stones form a road on which you can walk with confidence. What matters most is consistency, not force. The ocean shapes cliffs not through violence, but through steady, patient contact. In the same way, your character is shaped by gentle, continuous correction. When you release harshness, you discover that discipline can be firm and loving at the same time, and this kind of discipline lasts. Every mistake carries a message. It shows you something about your heart that you have not yet understood. When you approach your errors with compassion, they transform from burdens into teachers. The energy you once used to hide from your mistakes becomes energy you can use to grow. Transformation begins when you stop resisting what has already happened. Whether the mistake was large or small, whether it caused harm to yourself or others, meet it with honesty. Honest recognition opens the door to insight. Ask gently, what truth is this mistake revealing? What lesson is it offering me? The answer may not come immediately, but sincerity invites clarity. As insight arises, allow it to soften you. When you see the real cause of your misstep, you are less likely to repeat it. Not because you force yourself, but because understanding reshapes the heart. A heart that understands no longer acts blindly. In time, your mistakes begin to feel less like failures and more like steps on a winding path. Each one shows you where your boundaries are weak, where your fears are strong, and where your compassion has not yet reached. And with each insight, you grow more steady, more humble, and more open. This is the quiet miracle of compassionate self-correction. Nothing is wasted. Even the moments you wish you could erase become seeds of wisdom. You learn to look back at your past with a softer gaze. You learn that growth is not about perfection, but about cultivating a heart capable of transforming pain into understanding. Through this process, you become less reactive, more intentional, and more deeply connected to your true nature. Your mistakes become lanterns illuminating the path ahead. Compassionate self-correction is not a single moment of effort. It is a lifelong walk. Each day offers chances to adjust your course, to return to your deeper values, and to honor the person you are becoming. Walking forward means holding yourself accountable without abandoning yourself when you falter. Self-honoring discipline does not ask you to be flawless. It asks you to be sincere. When you commit to walking with awareness, you promise yourself that you will act with intention, even when the old patterns pull at you. Discipline rooted in compassion is not rigid. It is alive, responding to each moment with clarity and kindness. As you continue this path, you begin to trust yourself in a deeper way. You trust that you can face your mistakes without collapsing. You trust that you can correct yourself without cruelty. You trust that every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to living in alignment with your truth. In walking steadily, you become your own guardian. You protect your heart from the harm of self-neglect and the harm of self-condemnation. You guide yourself the way a wise elder guides a child, not with force, but with presence. And over time, this steady walk has an outward influence. As your discipline becomes more compassionate, your presence becomes more peaceful. Others around you feel it. They sense the calm that grows from someone who has learned to be gentle with themselves. Your way of living becomes a teaching even without words. This is the art of compassionate self-correction, meeting each moment with awareness, responding with understanding, transforming mistakes into insight, and continuing forward with patience and dignity. A path walked not with perfection, but with sincerity. Thanks for watching this video. If you found this video helpful, please like and share this video and subscribe to the channel. Namaste.